let's introduce our players. Let me just get rid of this, and let me just change Euphemal's name to Hass here, just so we can keep track of who the players are. I'm not sure how you can edit the name. Like, the Chinese stream manages to have the proper names up, but I'm not sure how to do that, so it's not something I've actually learned to do for some reason. Anyways, let's do this. We're into this best of 3 PvP, and we're going to be kicking fingers off to the bottom right-hand side of the map. It's going to be our Blue Pros player from Riot Esports. It is Cyan, representing China. And again, he really is one of the better Chinese players right now. He won the WCS Intercontinental Copa America qualifier. He'll be going there in September. He really is, again, for me, the dark horse of this event, this tournament. And I'm really excited to see how he does here today in his group. I really do believe he can get out of this group. So let's see how he does against the one and only Red Pros player to the top left side. It is Hass. Who is, I mean, it's Hass, right? I mean, he's one of these players who plays super aggressive. He plays crazy strategies you just don't think will ever work. Let's see how Hass does here as we jump into this game. Number 1. 2 gateway opening as he drops the Cybernetics core behind this as well. I'm just going to be seeing that probe coming on over to the right-hand side and just having a little bit of a look to put down another pylon here. Now, interestingly, from Cyan, he's also going to go 2 gateways. Sorry, that's not very interesting at all. That's very standard. I thought he was only going 1 gateway, but I misread this situation. Just because his second gateway came up just a little bit after Hass's, about 5 seconds later. So no real differences just yet. Hass has a little bit more gas mined, so a little bit extra gas mining for our red player here. But 2 gate openings are very standard in the PvP, because in the Protoss versus Protoss matchup, it's a mirror matchup, which immediately makes it very volatile, because both players have the same openings to them. And so if you kind of get behind early and so on, or if you do a certain strategy, you can't be too greedy, because it's so easy for your opponent to punish that, because it's the same race. So it's a lot more volatile than kind of mixed matchups. And so the 2 gate openings are very safe, because it gets you 2 units out early, and both players are going to opt for the Adepts here. Now, 2 Adepts at a time is one of the options you can go for. The other option is 2 Stalkers. We'll talk about that maybe later in the series when we do see some Stalkers. For now, the Adepts, though, this opening is all about getting into the opponent's mineral line, scouting, figuring out what's going on for your opponent, and then also being able to maybe get some damage done to the mineral line as well. So the Adepts really are kind of a scouting-based unity in the early stages of the game, and of course the opportunity for harassment too. It'll be a little bit of an interesting dance between both players' Adepts, and actually Hass is going to get the first shots onto Cyan's Adepts here, and that's going to be a bit of a victory, and Cyan knows for a fact, I think, that those Adepts, at least one of them, should end up dying. Now, there has been a Stargate on the way for both players, as one Adept of Cyan gets away, and it's going to be an immediate Phoenix on the way from Hass. So recognize it's Adept versus Adept. The very common follow-up to Adept and Adept opening is Stargate, or just Adept openings in general is Stargate, and so knowing that Stargate's the popular opening, he's going to go immediately into a Phoenix to try and deflect, what he's predicting to be an Oracle from his opponent. Now, he's only made 1 Phoenix so far, and actually Cyan going to do the exact same thing. Cyan, does he have the scouting information? No, he doesn't. He sees this pylon here, Hass. Very interesting kind of build location down in the low ground, and that actually means he hasn't had his Stargate scout just yet. But both players going Stargate on Stargate, and look at this, Cyan, even a second Stargate already. So he's just assuming completely, I think, or he just thinks there's a proxy Stargate on the map. 4 Adepts from Hass coming across. Now, this is nice because he has killed off 2 Adepts of his opponent, so he does have a bit of an army supply lead. We saw the pylon already down the low ground here, and Cyan with 2 more Adepts in his main, and actually just doesn't really have too much to defend this. We're going to see a probe not quite going down. Everything Cyan's doing is very latey. I mean, his natural expansion is later because he adds on a second Stargate. His Stargate initially was a bit later. That second Stargate is going to be very interesting to see how it plays out. As Hass scouts in, he sees double Stargate of his opponent, and so we know what this is going to be now. It's going to be Phoenix on Phoenix, and so both players know this. Upon realizing it's Phoenix against Phoenix, they know Phoenix counts are going to be very important, and they know that they're going to have to keep on making sure they're never going to fall behind in that Phoenix count. The reason Phoenix versus Phoenix happens is because if you make Phoenix and your opponent makes Phoenix, if one of you stops making Phoenix, it kind of comes back to the volatility of a mirror matchup, but if one of you stops making the Phoenix, all of a sudden you find yourself in a lot of trouble because your opponent has more Phoenix than you. He comes in, he attacks, he wins the fight in the sky, and then the Phoenix have the Graviton Beam ability, which lifts units up. And so if you have an overwhelming number of Phoenix left over in the skies, you actually find yourself with the ability to lift up all of your opponent's ground army, and then you win on the ground as well. And so we see this situation where both players will actually just heavily invest into Phoenix for the next minutes of the game. And I mean, I'm talking about 5-10 minutes longer here that we're going to see Phoenix production. Third Stargate already coming down. Be interesting to see when the Fleet Beacon comes down. The Fleet Beacon and the third Stargate is always a choice you have to make. Do you go for a third Stargate and add on more Phoenix? Or do you go for the Fleet Beacon and go for Anion Pulse Crystals, an upgrade which gives you extra range on your Phoenix? Because if you have Anion Pulse Crystals and your opponent does not, then what you can do is you can kite your opponent's Phoenix for days because you just have more reach than them. And because the Phoenix shoot while they move, you can consistently kite your opponent's Phoenix. So if you have Anion Pulse Crystals and your opponent doesn't, then you have basically lost. I remember there was a very kind of crazy game on Expedition Lost between, I think it was Hero and Zest, or Hero and it was like Hero and SOS maybe, two really great kind of Protoss players in the Pro League, and it was Phoenix on Phoenix, and one player got Anion Pulse Crystals, and maybe it was in GSL, but either way, I think it was Tasteless and Artos were talking about how this was just a lost game because there's no way he can fight against an Anion Pulse Crystals set of Phoenix without Anion Pulse Crystals of his own, until I think it was Hero that kind of came around the side, and he came in and he like converged on, he flanked his opponent's Phoenix and like put them in a corner, so he couldn't kite against them. And so it was a really cute little move, and I always remember that game when it comes to Phoenix versus Phoenix. So we do see a little bit of a fight here, starting to go the way of Cyan actually. Cyan going to keep on chasing, has stops for a moment or two. Phoenix trade on neither side. It's very hard to say who's actually winning this. I think it's fairly even. I think in the end Cyan comes out after losing a couple more Phoenix as his opponent. No, 6 for 6, so pretty even. We've seen a couple of workers going down here or there from Phoenix lifts, and Adepts just shading on through. There's that third Stargate from Cyan, so much later, but you can kind of see from Haas, he's not actually using his 3 Stargates all of the time. He's having some downtime on them, so that's something to keep in mind here as well. Haas is actually down on workers, so I don't know how exactly he can afford 3 Stargates, yet Cyan hasn't been able to already. Maybe that's something we'll come and see kind of biting Haas in the kind of butt a little bit as time goes by here. As we're just going to be seeing the Phoenix just continue to come down towards the bottom right side. You see those Phoenix from Cyan just going to be set overhead. We're just going to be seeing the Anion Pulse, sorry, not Anion Pulse, because I got that on my mind, I got that upgrade on my mind. See the Photon Overcharge coming in to help push them away. Another 2 probes going down. And that's the thing with the Phoenix on Phoenix plays. You're always kind of looking to trade workers here or there, and pick off some workers of your opponent. A Phoenix for Phoenix here as well. Both players playing fairly aggressively with these Phoenix, neither of them being too scared to kind of give chase or anything like that. Always looking for opportunities to try and take an advantage where they feel they have one. 10 Phoenix to 8 right now, though, for Haas, so slight advantage for him in the skies. He doesn't have a Mothership Core, though, which could obviously hurt him defensively, but that's why, I mean, he's able to kind of be so aggressive, right? Because he's maybe not invested into that Mothership Core, and instead, he's built up the Phoenix. Unless he lost the Mothership Core. No, he didn't. Never built one. But again, I mean, it's little things like this. Cyan's actually going to drop the third Nexus a little bit sooner. He's actually got a pylon on his opponent's third base as he warps in an Adept or two to go and harass here again. And this is kind of cute because there isn't actually too much over here from Haas to really defend this. So a couple of Adepts can get some damage done. We're going to see a probe going down over to this third base. But again, obviously the Phoenix can't kill a Nexus. So this is really nice. They can't kill a pylon either. So Cyan's actually going to take quite a lead. On this third base, we're going to see these Adepts coming in. They're going to start getting some worker kills here. 1, 2 workers going down. 3. I mean, it's just going to keep on rising on up, so we're going to see 3, 4, 5 workers going down now, and continuing to rise, so 7 workers killed. This is crazy already, actually. We're going to see 8 workers picked off here, 9. It never ends. So lots of workers going down, 10 workers killed, and this is the sort of lead which is going to put Cyan into a great position, because losing 12 workers, all of a sudden Haas will find himself maybe not able to afford going into kind of free Stargate Phoenix production for a little while, and then Cyan takes a little bit of a lead because of that. Oh my god, I missed a Phoenix fight. Oh wow, I'm awful. I'm literally horrendous at observing. So while we were watching the Adepts, there was a Phoenix fight, and Cyan apparently lost it, so apologies for that, guys. I'm very sorry. Apparently Haas wins the fight in the sky, so that's a big loss for Cyan. I mean, now he's actually going to have to catch up on Phoenix. That's a huge play, so Haas is actually going to be, it's kind of weird because now Haas has the control in the skies, and so he can pick off so many workers with his own Phoenix, so he's actually going to come right back into this. This is nowhere near as bad for Haas as I thought it was, as we see a couple of Adepts running in at the same time, but you can just see Cyan's worker count is getting lower and lower because the Phoenix will just lift up every single probe here. He's just going to get rid of absolutely everything, so Haas comes right back at Cyan because he wins the fight in the skies, and that is going to be a huge kind of game changer right now, as we're going to be seeing Cyan going towards the upper left, just going to try and counterattack here, maybe shut down some Phoenix of his opponent. I mean, Haas actually only has, can only really kind of pull back his own Phoenix because he can't really just sit here and, he doesn't have anything to actually fight against these Phoenix of his opponent. So both players just trading out a lot of workers. Cyan is still up a base, but Cyan now has to go into something other than, he really does have to go into something other than Phoenix, I think, because I don't know how he catches up from this. He's actually behind in workers now as well. and he's a little bit cornered here. You can see Haas looking for the fight coming on in, and he is going to be able to come on into this, and he's just going to come in and start chasing them. I mean, he just has more Phoenix, and that's the kind of be-all and end-all of Phoenix versus Phoenix Wars. You can see Cyan still trying to make Phoenix at home. Now he gets kind of caught at a little bit of an angle here, so the Phoenix will go down to the left side. Cyan knows it's going to be over, and that right there is... And also not investing into the third base as well. Obviously paid off for him as well, because it was getting very close, and he had kind of one timing to hit, but he hit it, he made it happen. He takes game 1, and here he is in game number 2, to the bottom left-hand side of New Gettysburg. Our red Taiwanese Pros player, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear it if you're cheering on Haas. And to the bottom right-hand side, our blue Protoss player from Rai Esports. Let's see if he can jump back into this series with a win here in game number 2. It's going to be our blue Protoss player. Let's give it up for Cyan. Haas takes game 1, should make a lot of people happy here. Again, think a lot of people will be Haas fans. What I'm interested to see if Haas wins this, Haas vs Euthermal is going to be really interesting, because the PvT is when Pros players really can be very cheeky and very aggressive, and I'm very intrigued to see what exactly Euthermal does to maybe counteract what Haas is doing. And I'm intrigued to see if Haas can come up with some nonsense crazy enough to catch Euthermal, the IEM Shanghai champion, off guard. As we're going to be seeing this probe from Cyan, just going to head across over to the left-hand side of the map. And of course, the same thing happening from Haas here too. He's actually patrolling his probe. I wonder if he wants to build a pylon to block this. That might be just, you know, to block the scout. I mean, that's exactly what he's going to do. So he blocks his opponent's scout. It's a cute little move. And it is because he's going first for one gateway here. So there is the interesting start from Haas now in game number 2 of this series. He goes for 1 gateway instead of 2 gateways. We talked about this earlier. 2 gates gets you multiple units out early, allows you to put on a lot of pressure. But now Cyan isn't going to know that there's 2 gates of his opponent. He actually isn't going to really be able to go for Adepts here, I don't think. I find that very surprising that he goes for Adepts, because Adepts won't get past this pylon without going the long way around, which can take a long time. So I find this very interesting indeed, as Haas is just going to take the opportunity to go into a very fast Stargate. So we go into a super fast Stargate here from Haas. And we're just going to see him popping down that ramp, moving away from the couple of gateways over there with 2 Adepts just popping out. 2 Adepts pop out. We're going to see the Mothership core coming out from Cyan as well. I'm just going to be seeing that probe heading on up towards the upper right-hand side. Now there's going to be a Twilight Council drop down up here from Cyan, but look at this. Haas! 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 Oh, he finds the probe, but he doesn't see the units just yet. He doesn't see the buildings. This is crazy. Cyan comes in, he pushes it away. Haas isn't going to see the Twilight Council. Absolutely no way. Absolutely crazy. Hidden Twilight is going to, in the end, not get scouted. I can't believe it. As we'll see, Cyan just sees 1 Adept, and that is already weird. Maybe he takes that as a sign that this is some kind of fast attack elsewhere. You know, a fast Stargate or something. It's actually just going to be a Phoenix again. Interesting. The Phoenix not going to do very much against a fast Twilight. And it should be a Dark Shrine. You know, that's generally why people hide things like a Twilight on the map. It's not to hide Blink or something. Generally it's to hide a Dark Shrine. So it'll be very interesting. We're going to see Mothership Core from Cyan. Cyan, please, no! This is the Mothership Core. Big mistakes here. We're going to see that Dark Shrine being placed just in the main base of Cyan. Not getting the chance to proxy that. Does start a Blink as well. And the Dark Shrine on the way. Now this is interesting because Haas doesn't have detection. He's got a Phoenix. That's the thing, he's got a Phoenix. So he's got very good scouting possibilities into the main base. As we're going to be seeing this Phoenix from Haas. Going to hit a wall there momentarily. And another wall. This map is always somewhat interesting when you see Phoenix trying to cross it, or any sort of air unit trying to cross it. First Phoenix already across here did see the Dark Shrine, and so immediately Haas starts up a robo facility in response to this. So going into the robo facility, he's going to be going into an observer here, of course, looking to deny this Dark Templar play from Cyan. And so Cyan was once again off to, well, not the best of starts here in this in a game in this series. Again, it was Haas who, I mean, I guess in game number 1 the starts were very even, were very similar, but yeah, I mean, game number 1 the kind of the opens were very similar. Just Haas kind of took the mid game to his advantage. Now Haas looking pretty good in the early game of game number 2. Now there's Blink on the way up. That will help a lot against any sort of Stargate units here. Obviously Stalkers being able to blink underneath Phoenix, etc. give them a higher chance of picking them off and actually killing them. As we are going to be seeing That pylon will go down. Nexus here from Cyan about to finish up as well. So Nexus about to finish, as we see Mothership Core just popping out as well. We're going to be seeing a Robo on the way up from Cyan 2, getting ready for his transition. And I wonder if the Dark Shrine haven't been scattered. Well, actually, sorry, he cancelled the Dark Shrine, so he's not going to commit into this in the end. Going to spend his resources elsewhere as these Phoenix come across the map. And they will be looking to jump on in here and see what they can do as they run on in. A couple of Phoenix or Stalkers already actually going to be starting to target down some Phoenix, and going to be seeing one Phoenix going down there. So that's quite nice already. One of those picked off. And if Cyan can continue to deflect these Phoenix, this isn't actually so bad for him. So, I mean, yeah, it's not great. Has to cancel the Dark Shrine, etc. But he still has Blink. He still has some tech. He's going into his own Robo, so he's not too far behind. Oh, look at this, though. Going to lift the Stalkers so the Oracle can come in. But the Oracle fights against the Stalker. That's some lost damage time onto probes. We're going to see the Stalkers here. Which way do they blink in? Do they go for the Phoenix or the Oracle? Neither, apparently. There he goes. Gets the Oracle anyway, though. Bit of a weird sort of movement out of Haas there. I was going to be seeing these units coming down the ramp from Cyan once more. Looking to continue pushing those Phoenix away. Haas just saving that one on 2 HP. Remember, guys, every single map is very important in this series because every map you win is money. If you win 2-0, you get $1,300. If you win 2-1, you get $800 and the other guy gets $400 or around that, you know, roughly. So it really is, every map is so important to win. If Haas wins this 2-0, he immediately gets an extra $400 than what he gets if he wins 2-1. And of course, he doesn't want to lose a map anyway because then, of course, Cyan has a chance to win 2-1 as well. So every single map important in this tournament, as we see Phoenix coming in. We'll lift a probe. We'll take that down very quickly. Stalkers blinking forwards, getting some more damage onto that Phoenix there. We'll back away over to the left-hand side. Hallucination from Cyan currently across the map, trying to pick up some information as well. Of course, information scouting, something you always want to be going for. Throughout a PvP, make sure your opponent's going for it. If your opponent is going for tech switch, make sure you know what it's going to be. Make sure you can respond to it yourself in plenty of time. I was going to see those Phoenix picking off that hallucination, so that goes down. Again, the Twilight Council top right is now upgrading Resonating Glaive, so we're going to see like a Stalker, a Depth composition with Immortals here out of Cyan. Out of Haas, we do see Immortals continue to come out. It looks as though he's going Blink, so I mean, he's going to go Stalkers as well. I mean, actually, Cyan has a bit of a timing window where he could maybe utilize his Blink aggressively on the map, but he's not going to go for that. He's not going to use it, as we see him blinking in, takes down that hallucination. There's a few more Depths coming up. I wonder if Cyan actually attacks with 1-1 upgrades. We saw him go in double Forge, and the earlier you get a Forge, the more vulnerable you make yourself. But if he gets 1-1 upgrades finished, he's going to be a huge upgrade lead. Double Forge especially is very weird in the PvP. It's usually a single Forge is what you see coming down. But the double Forge is very different. And of course, Haas just hasn't built a single Forge at all just yet. So this is a big upgrade lead for Cyan. And he might just look to utilize this. He's starting to move out onto the map. And again, just use his upgrades to kind of, you know, to his advantage. And just use kind of, I mean, how many gates is he on? 6 gates against 5? But he's just on more kind of army supply in general anyways. 3 Phoenix as well won't really add much to this fight either. So the fact that there's 3 Immortals against 1 isn't too much of an issue from Cyan's point of view, because he has other advantages. He has sheer numbers, for example. As he blinks in, does he get in range of that Observer? He doesn't get it. So Observer does see this army coming across the map. Haas will have to begin to prepare. I like the sentries. That's going to be a good way to cut his opponent's army in half. It's a very good way to cut his opponent's army in half here, as we see these units just going to work their way through those rocks. Those rocks will go down. So as those rocks fall, we'll see Cyan just moving forwards here once again, going to pick off a few of these workers. Multiple probes going down. Cyan, of course, can blink away now, though. So 3 workers killed. Good little start to this. Remember, he's got 1-1 upgrades to work with as well. Although now Haas has started to kind of catch on to this aggression, and so he has warped in a few more units to help turn this away. 3 more sentries warping in, another Adept also. And we're going to see these units getting ready to go towards the front here in the next few moments. We're going to see these Stalkers coming up the ramp, and we're going to be seeing one Stalker getting taken down very swiftly. There's Haas. Well, he's kind of getting sectioned away from his third base, which is nice. It's good moves by Cyan so far. Double overcharge on the third base once again. We'll look to defend it for now. War Prism is here. The thing is, though, Cyan's army is getting worse and worse. You know, he's more and more is coming out for his opponents, so his kind of overwhelming numbers isn't so much of a thing. His force fields here are very interesting because he doesn't do too much, and also an Immortal being lifted by Haas is going to take some good DPS out of this army of Cyan, and you can just see Haas is just going to overwhelm this. I think Cyan just waited too long. I think he missed his opportunity, and in the end, the 1-1 upgrades are not going to make the difference when his army supply is that similar to that of Haas's. When he had a larger army, he had a lot of opportunities here, but when he waited so long, it was Haas who just got into a very good position, picked his fight, the force fields were off, were off by Cyan, then Haas lifted up the immortal of his opponent, takes it out at the end.